Okay, let's open another scene which will show us a little bit more about the repopulation abilities. This scene actually shows a PLT loader which is reading directly a bin file sequence, and this bin file sequence was created using RealFlow. Was an old version of RealFlow many years ago. I think RealFlow 5 or something. So it's like 3 versions back. But we generally support the native format of RealFlow because it made sense to be able to directly read those particles. In the meantime, later versions of RealFlow actually added a PLT saver, so you can dump into our format. But if you already have the RealFlow data, you can just use it as it is. And I'm going to open our modifier panel again. And in this modifier panel, I will be doing some channel operations. For example, I'm going to copy a channel. This adds, once again, a set of extra attributes here, which are combined as KMod1. The KMod1 will be copying data, and I'll say I'm going to take this color, and I'll paste it here, and I'll type in velocity here. Velocity is the name of the channel that was coming from the bin file. And we're copying into the color channel, which gives us a colorful representation of the velocity, direction, and magnitude. Of course, it's very bright because most of the magnitudes are really, really long. What I could do is scale that channel. I can go here and say, okay, I want to scale the color channel, and this is the scale value, and if I change it, I can adjust the intensity of those colors. But if I'm not interested in the color, like the direction of the vector, only in its magnitude, I can say in the first modifier, I want to use only the vector length. And now I have a black and white, a grayscale more or less, display of the velocity, which shows me how fast the particle is moving in each point. But you know how in RealFlow and NIAT and so on, you can shade your particles to be blue when they're not moving and white when they're moving fast, or you can do the same with the vorticity channel. I probably even have a vorticity channel here in this system. I could display that. But let's say that you actually want to remap the whole thing. Instead of using directly the color, I could use it, but I'm going to introduce a new, I'll call it map1 channel. It's a custom name that I just created, and it will actually flow through the system. But of course, it doesn't show in the viewport because right now I'm not really setting the color channel to anything. What I'll do is I'll add apply texture. And this texture will be using the same map channel as the UV channel that controls the mapping. Of course, I'm setting all particles now just to a solid color, and I could go here and just tweak that color to something else. And that color will be assigned to all the particles. Yet another way to actually set a color on a specific object. But what I really want to do is actually take a 2D texture, and I'll take the ramp, and right now the ramp is using the gradient that I created, the black and white gradient, as its UV channel to control the placement of the colors. And of course I can tweak the settings. I can remove the one, and I can actually, I'll set this one. This will be white. This will go away, and this will be the blue color of the slow particles, something around here. And of course, I can tweak the exponent and so on. And now I have something that is much closer to what RealFlow would show you. According to the velocity of the particles, I'm controlling the color of the particles. And of course, I can use any crazy gradients that I want, and I can assign pretty much any texture that Maya has, both 2D and 3D textures, in order to create the mapping that I want. And on top of that, I can, of course, go and then say repopulate particles with a certain range. It is possible to also display those particles in the viewport, but of course, it can take a while to generate, and it looks like 1 is a lot. So if I start going down, 0.5, 0.2 probably will be closer. That will take a little bit longer. It looks like probably 0.1 is the default, is close to where I want to be in order to create something that has enough particles to render. If I double click here on the list or uncheck there, this turns on and off the modifier. I'll disable the viewport display. So each time I double click on this list, it turns it on and off. I'll render once with it off, and you see that the number of particles is just not enough. We have only 22,000 particles on this frame. So I could go and re-enable the repopulation and hit render. This will create a lot more particles, and they will be potentially too dense if not anything through them. That means the shadow that being cast will be very heavy. That's why I would have to go to my settings and do what we did before with the statue, and in general go with a really low density, which is like 6 decimal places before the 1. I'll use the same density for both camera and for the video, and hopefully this will. It looks like probably went too low. No, I don't see anything here. Let's start going up and see when oh no. I should also disable the this checkbox, because right now I'm using a density of 0 and this is fully in shadow. So uncheck this, render again, and more light will pass through the particles. It's still too dense. It looks like that probably was a good setting, as it was before, with the -6. And of course, you can then start to keep the settings of the repopulation modifier to create more particles, because this is still, even though I created 1.7 million, 1.7 million is on the very low end, and I would probably need a couple of subdivisions here in order to create even more particles. Hit render, move to a different frame, so it will be more going on, hopefully, in the sim.